Judicial review, the most tested thing of this era. And it can be so easy with the brain drain that I will have for you, and I'll show you that today. Judicial review is in direct connection with what we learned yesterday. What we learned yesterday was 3 court cases, and they all made the federal government stronger. But there's one court case that is a bigger deal than than all 3 of these, and one of the most popular court cases in American history, Marbury versus Madison. So we're going to drop off these 2. We won't be talking about them anymore. We are going to focus on just Marbury versus Madison because it is the most important, and it established the principle of judicial review. So, before Marbury versus Madison, the judicial branch was weak, didn't have a lot of powers, but all of a sudden, this case happened, and we don't care the issue. The details of the issue is over paperwork. But here is what happens in Marbury versus Madison. All of a sudden, and I like this because it kind of makes the other branches of government kind of feel silly. So I'm going to come over here to where it says judicial review. Do I have something to write with? Okay, so you have your 3 branches of government. Okay. They look, is this 3 branches? That looks horrible. Okay. Judicial, executive, legislative. So how do you make a law? No president has ever written a law. And so many students mess up because they're like, oh, the president makes the law. No, there's no president who's ever written a law. They come up with ideas and try and talk Congress into making that law, but they don't ever write them. Congress has to, though. They write the laws. Then Congress, they give that law over to the executive branch. The executive branch reads it, approves it, and then it becomes a law. So, okay, this is the interesting part. Let's say Congress, okay? Well, not let's say, this is what happens. Congress writes a law, and they're like, yeah, we love this law. They all vote for it. Say, okay, let's give it to the president. The president says, yeah, this is great. Then now the judicial branch, their job is to look at that law and compare it to the Constitution and see if it follows the rules of the Constitution. Let me tell you, Congress can write a law that says everyone has to wear purple shirts, and then the president can approve it. But guess what? Once it goes to the judicial branch, if they find, well, wait, you can't, that's unconstitutional, they can say, you can't have that law. That's a slap in the face of these 2 branches, like, you idiots. You wrote a stupid law, and you're dumb enough to approve it. You're all idiots because it's unconstitutional. So actually, the person with the final say in any law that we have in this entire country is the judicial branch. So they got really popular. When the judicial branch reviews a law to find out its constitutionality, which is a fancy word for constitutional or unconstitutional, it's called judicial review. Got that, ladies and gentlemen? Judicial review. When the judicial branch reviews a law to find out if it's unconstitutional or constitutional. Number 1 tested thing. And I'm going to show you how easy it's going to be to remember that. Okay, I'm going to drill this into your head, and here's how I'm going to do that. Let me take off all of this stuff. Okay. We're going to read this paragraph, and then we're going to fill these things in. So I'm going to read it to you real fast. Follow along. You better be paying attention because to get these wrong, it's going to be those test questions where I'm like, oh, you better feel bad because this was easy to know, to remember. Here we go. Just before President Adams left office, he appointed John Marshall as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The judicial branch was often viewed as the weakest of all 3 branches, but Marshall made the Supreme Court more powerful. John Marshall established the principle of judicial review in the case of Marbury v. Madison. Judicial review is the right of the Supreme Court to declare a law unconstitutional. This greatly strengthened the power of the judiciary by making it the final authority in interpreting the Constitution. So, What's the big deal with judicial review? Again, judicial review is where the judicial branch reviews the law to find out if it's unconstitutional. And how does this tie into yesterday? When was the first time this ever happened? In the case of Marbury versus Madison. We could care less. Who freaking cares? Don't let anyone tell you you have to memorize the details of what happened in this court case. That is wrong. All you have to know is judicial review is when the judicial branch reviews the law to find out if it's unconstitutional or constitutional. When's the first time it happened? Marbury versus Madison. Why do we learn about Marbury versus Madison? Because it was the first time judicial review happened. Because the judicial branch said a law was unconstitutional. And why is it a big deal to say a law is unconstitutional? Because that means we get rid of it and it no longer exists. That's a big deal because these two idiots created it. Okay, here's what you're going to do. Here's your assignment. You're going to fill in the blanks. So John Marshall established the principle of. Your answer choices are going to be judicial review. I guess I could use this thing. It'll be judicial review. Your answer choice will be Marbury versus Madison. What are your other answer choices going to be? John Marshall, I do believe. Your answer choices will come from here. I'm skimming. I think that's it. Oh yeah, Supreme Court may be an answer choice. Supreme Court. Okay. Got it? So these are your three answer choices. I highlighted them, okay? John Marshall, Marbury versus Mass Judicial Review, Supreme Court. All right. You're going to pause this video and you're going to complete 1 through 7, and then we'll go over it. So take about 5 minutes to do this. I'd work with a partner, work with your own self. 5 minutes, pause the video, teacher in the classroom. Go. Okay. So you should have completed that. Your teacher paused the video. I don't know why my pause was so long. Okay. So let's see if you are getting the most tested part, judicial review. So John Marshall established the principle of you should have judicial review. If you have anything wrong, scratch it out, make it right. Judicial review is when the Supreme Court finds a law. Oh, you're probably like, she didn't highlight this. You're right. Unconstitutional. There you go. Judicial review is when the Supreme Court finds a law unconstitutional. When the Supreme Court determines a law to be unconstitutional, that is called judicial review. I mean, come on, guys. Like, what the action is the word, the term itself. The first time judicial review was used in the case was in the case Marbury versus Madison. The first Chief Justice to say a law was unconstitutional was John Marshall. Marbury versus Madison was the first time a law was determined unconstitutional. The first time a law was found unconstitutional was in Marbury versus Madison. Do you see how this was all tied together? I asked you all the same stuff and it just circled around. Well, guess what? We have a brain drain that's going to make your life super easy. Look at that triangle. We have another triangle, TJ and Alex. TJ, Alex, eco, bank, political parties. When you see how we apply this to questions, you're going to say, thank you, Ms. Thomas, for making things so easy. You make this so easy for us. Thank you so, so much. Yep, that's what you'll be thinking in your head, or at least you better be. Okay, go down this triangle. I'm going to show you how to make your life very easy. Let me get a little writing tool here. Does this work? Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have it so thick. Okay, mine's going to be a little sloppy because I'm using the computer. Here we go. Go to this triangle. Inside this triangle, you're going to put, I don't like to write his whole name, J. Marshall. So our other triangle was TJ and Alex, and this one is John Marshall. Okay. Here's what I want you to think. John Marshall likes M&Ms, unicorns, and Jolly Ranchers. Well, John Marshall, you're an interesting fella. He likes M&Ms, unicorns, and Jolly Ranchers. No, I don't even know that any of that was around for John. Okay, here's how you'll get every single test question right ever on any of these. If you get a question about John Marshall, your answer is Marbury versus Madison, unconstitutional or constitutional, or judicial review. That's what those stand for. Marbury versus Madison, judicial review, unconstitutional or constitutional. So you can also see the word constitutionality. It's long, but it's where it's if the law is unconstitutional, constitutional. Constitutional means it follows the Constitution. Unconstitutional means it doesn't. So here's the deal. And I don't care if you write MM here. These can go on any part of the triangle. In any of my triangle brain drains, none of it matters what goes on which point. Okay, if you get a question about Marbury versus Madison, guess what? Your answer is always going to have unconstitutional or constitutional in it or judicial review. You get a question about judicial review, it'll always be Marbury versus Madison or unconstitutional or constitutional. If you get a question about the law being unconstitutional or constitutional, it'll always be Marbury versus Madison or judicial review. Kind of like our bubble map in colonial era. That my students do so good because if they use your bubble map, they're allowed to look for keywords and they always get the answer right. Here we go again. And so when we stop and we start reviewing, you're going to see, oh my gosh, Miss Thomas was right. She's making my life so much easier. So here's your next brain drain, and you're going to memorize that. Let's all go up here. Do, 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 do. I need you all to stop and turn to your front page, and you're going to copy that down, and so that you have that there. So it's going to have John Marshall, and he likes M&Ms, Jolly Ranchers. I'm changing the placing so you don't get worried that it has to be in the same spot. He likes M&Ms, Jolly Ranchers, and unicorns. Ooh, that's a bad U. There you go. All right. And then you should already have this one, which was TJ and Alex. And the reason we have political parties, that's a P and a P, is because they fought over the economy and the bank. And you'll always get those right. This was my proud 100% on the STAR test question, just because they had this brain drain. Yep, I try and make it easy. I want this to be easy. Okay, I'm going to go back to today. Oh, come on, go all the way down. Okay. So you think, okay, wow, yeah, the judicial branch. Out of the 3 branches of government, the judicial branch just got stronger. Does anybody remember? But look, a branch, it's still part of this tree. And this is the federal government. If this branch got stronger, the whole tree got stronger. Who doesn't like a strong federal government? The anti-federalists. Yeah, they're not all dead. It's still a thing. Still today, there are a group of people who don't like a strong federal government. They're called Republicans. And then we have the Democrats who want a stronger federal government. So it just changed over time, and we saw that in the political party flowchart we did. Okay. Oh, that is Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, judicial review. He's ticked off. I am angry at this stupid judicial review. So we actually have quotes from his mouth of him saying why it's so stupid. And you have to know that Thomas Jefferson thought judicial review was stupid, dumb, angry. I don't like this. Why is the federal government getting stronger, stronger? It's going to end up with tyranny and we're all going to die. Okay. Now, what you're going to do with your partner is y'all are going to read these quotes, and yeah, he's talking fancy, and you're going to tell me what he's saying in simpler terms. Your answers are down here. It says write it. If you dare put arrows, it's a 0. End of story. Okay? Writing is part of what helps us memorize things. So your teacher, when I say so, will be pausing the video. I would say this takes you to read 3 minutes, maybe 4. Work with a partner, split these up to read them. So you're going to read the quote. I say read all three, and you're going to figure out which one is saying the judicial branch used to be harmless, but now it can do almost anything it wants. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say the judicial branch should have the power to review laws. With the judicial branch, with judicial review, the judicial branch can change the Constitution in whatever way they see fit or want to. Man, TJ angry. But match these to the way he says it in a fancy way and write it in the correct spot. When you're done with that, how did Jefferson feel about judicial review? Because I'm trying to get that in your head. Jefferson felt angry, upset, whatever, because why does he hate judicial review? Why did Jefferson feel this way? Jefferson felt this way because what does he think about judicial review? What's another reason he doesn't like it? Okay. So this is what you're going to do. This is focused just on TJ's reaction to judicial review. Okay. And then that will end today. You have mastered today. If you can remember this triangle and then why we learned about Marbury versus Madison, it's all because of judicial review and finding a law unconstitutional, constitutional, and the person who created that's John Marshall. And why does Jefferson hate judicial review so bad? Okay, so teacher will pause the video so you can complete this assignment. And actually, that ends the video.